Utui Cantantare sa awa utuete. Namaste, welcome. We're going to do a little morning soul flow where we just press live and see what appears. Without any intention, without any planning, without any idea of direction, other than I'm driving to the gym, and let's see what happens. So, this week's been quite an intense week. I don't know if it has been for you. For this one, it definitely has. There's been a few little challenging experiences and moments, and I don't often be aware so much of the details of what's happening in the crazy relative world, like news and media and world news and the fear porn and all of the things that are going on. But it doesn't matter if I don't watch it, because as like an empowered, empathic, as a sensitive being, as all of you are, we feel and sense things that the collective is going through. And yeah, there's been quite an intense energy this week, so I would assume, without looking, that there's some intensity in the collective. There's some intensity and challenging things moving through. And it's not about denying it or avoiding it. It's to be part of the solution, so to speak, to the problems. It's important that we don't look all the time at the quote problems. To be part of the solution, we feel what is the energy underlying the human conditions, and to some degree we'll play them out in our individual lives, which has been happening to me this week. But we're here to transcend that, here to let it move through us with as little playing out of the themes that are appearing in the collective within our individual lives, so that we can create a template whereby whatever these strong emotional or maybe playing out as geopolitical or transformation on the world stage can play out in a more peaceful, a more aligned, a more loving way. And that can be a challenge, of course. This is a planet of deep and dense polarity. There's so many different agendas in the relative world. There's so many different ideas. And there's so many different factions within each kind of grouping that there's an intensity to it. It's a real true melting pot, a multidimensional melting pot of Earth, and we're always in these times of transition and transformation. And all we can be is the awareness that's noticing what's appearing, allowing strong emotion, allowing strong feeling, allowing everything to come up, allow ourselves to feel it fully, allow it to be experienced, but then allow it to go on its natural tendency. Natural tendency of energy is to move. But when we hold on to story and identity and ideas, and we hold on to repeating patterns and loops, they stay. So the energy gets stuck, it stays in a loop. 432. I woke at 432 today. 432, 144 by 3, the Holy Trinity of 144. So if we allow ourselves to be in the space where we're not denying anything, we're not closing down to anything, we're allowing everything that appears, all the feelings, all the emotions, all the challenges, they're acknowledged, are allowed to be felt, but then they're allowed to move. And the only way it'll move through us is if we don't hold an identity as the little me, as the poor me, as the angry one, as the victim, as the villain, as the perpetrator, or as the right side or the wrong, the good or the bad side. We can only let the energy move through when it's an empty vessel, so we can experience and feel what is moving through as a representation of what's going on in the collective, played out in your individual collective, in your family, your relationships, your relationship with your body, etc. And then be that empty space that allows that to move on its merry way, and the energy will move. So the way it's experienced with me is like an emotion will come up, whatever ways it's experienced, it's acknowledged, it's felt, and then I feel it rising and it'll come up the top of the head. And sometimes that'll come around in that toroidal field and it'll be transmuted into a different form of energy. It's just transformed, or it dissipates into the field. And so this week there's been a lot of that. Journaling and writing is one thing that I've come back to again, thankfully. It's always been very beneficial for me. That's something that's helped a lot. So if you don't journal and you haven't tried it before, or if you've done it before and you've stopped, Spirit can speak to us so clearly with little distortion in handwriting. So pen, pencil, piece of paper, proper old school. Spirit can speak very clearly in that way to us, and our inner being can speak more clearly in that way. I found there's very little distortion in that. In the other ways, in every way, there can be distortion through limiting beliefs and experiences that we're having. There can be some distortions, but I found writing, proper writing, is something that can be very clear. So I love doing that. I've filled several notebooks recently. So if you're going through similar things this week, know that you are not alone, and know that you probably know better than me what is going on in the wider world. That's because it's very clear whenever. It's very clear to this one anyway. So everything is individual and collective at the same time. There's nothing you hear people. I've got this stuff's not my stuff, and this stuff over here. I'll take this little bit of stuff, but that stuff's not my stuff. And people say they know what is their stuff and not their. When they start at the end, like we always share, is that everything is always your stuff. Everything that appears is always my stuff. And that's fed by the collective, everything that's appearing in the collective, and your openness and sensitivity to what is appearing in the collective, and then your own individual flavor of that. But there's not a separation of this is collective and this is individual. It's only one. But your particular flavor, your particular theme, your particular role that you're playing within the collective will be unique. And then that's where we can kind of make that mistake of thinking, well, this is collective and this is my stuff. So whenever we're feeling that we can deal with things and we can move through, and we're okay saying, oh, this is my stuff. But then at times, maybe it's easier to say, oh, this is just energy of the collective, this has nothing to do with me. When if you're experiencing something, feeling something, experiencing maybe a challenge or a conflict or even beautiful things, we tend to want to compartmentalize. So we always begin with saying everything is always ourselves. And it's easier at the moment to see, for this one at least, when an intensity comes just completely out of the blue, it's more of a collective, your part in the collective experience. And when you experience something that's a recurring pattern for you in relationships, or things that comes up, it's more of your flavor. But it's not a separation. It's not this is my stuff, that's collective stuff. It's like the sphere again. It's like different parts of it. So at times you'll be more on your flavor, your unique part of the whole, played out in your individual experience, and other times it'll be more everything's fine, and then just out of the blue some craziness is going on, and you can't see anything in your this is why so whenever you can't see anything in your environment, it's very easy to say, no particular trigger was or challenge that's coming up in a relationship or with people or in the world or just walking down the street, whatever it is, then it's very easy to say, oh, that's not my stuff, that's the collective. Or even more I don't want to say damaging, but more disempowering is saying, oh, that's them, that person that triggered me, they did this and that, and they need to be this sort of way, and they're unevolved, and blah blah blah. So yeah, it's okay to differentiate in a way that I'm tapping more into, if we say, I'm tapping more into the collective field of what is appearing, and maybe later today I'm tapping more into my individual version of that, which is playing out in my individual life. But they're the same thing, just looked at from different perspectives. One more broad, one more focused, and more personal, and more easy to identify, and easier to want to get rid of at times. When it's good, we want to keep it. When it's not so good, we want to give it to the collective, or we want to that's other people's stuff. I'm going to say, oh, how many people you hear talking about, oh, that's their stuff, or you're going through. There's always, it's like a magnet. There's always more than one. There's never just one thing. In this dimension, there's always two. There's always two different perspectives at least. And if we can see at least two different perspectives, or even better, if we can see three perspectives, the third one is seeing as perspective itself. So you can see you and the trigger or the person or the event from a neutral point of view. This is very powerful practice. If you can first identify, feel your own emotions, feel what's appearing for you, notice the story that's played out, then shift your awareness, shift your perspective to the appearance, the expression of the other. How would it be to be in that person's shoes? What can I understand why they're saying this, why they're doing this, why this is happening? And then the third perspective is this neutral, non-local one, where you can see both you, other person, event-based thing, whatever it has to be, and you're neutrally able to notice them all without an identity as a thing or a something or a someone. That's the third perspective that can be very powerful. So this is the little morning rising soul flow, whatever we called it today. This is what is arising. So if you are being challenged at the moment, notice, have you got the tendency to say, this is my stuff, that's their stuff, this is the collective stuff, and there's separation? Notice when is there an allowance of you allowing to feel what you're feeling, to express it maybe in some way or not, but at least acknowledge and feel it, and then allow it to move through. Or are you holding on to it? Are stories and identities on repeating patterns, keeping the energy that naturally wants to move through us? It's all it's looking for is a place to move through, a way to move through, and one that's, and as a divine human vehicle vessel, something that is acknowledged and moved through is blessed and is raised. Just by allowing a challenging emotion to be felt, acknowledged, and move through you without too much story and without too much collateral damage in your life, which has been a challenge this week for this one, I can say, raises that energy and raises the potential for peace on the earth and peace in the hearts of the men and women of the earth. So know that it doesn't have to be some sort of spectacular activation. Allowing these energies to move through while being acknowledged, while being felt and moved through, raises the potential of humanity. Okay, this is the little song. Well, I trust this has served someone in some way. If it has, let us know. If it hasn't, let us know. And until next time, from my heart to yours, the divine in me sees, loves, and honors the divine in you. Namaste. We are